This week, I'm here with Jace Lipstein, a.k.a. Grungy Gentleman. That's the founder of Grungy Gentleman. Now, Jace and I have known each other for nearly 20 years.
Yes.
When I first met Jace back almost 20 years ago, anywhere you went, Jace stuck out like a sore thumb. He was, the best way to say it, sophisticatedly flamboyant.
Okay.
And that has evolved year after year until he eventually started Grungy Gentleman, which is his persona now. And rather than me keep going with the intro, just tell me about Grungy Gentleman.
Sure. My name is Jace. I make clothes for men, women, and children. Most people know us for our consumer-facing brand, which you had mentioned is Grungy Gentleman. And that is a men's company or men's focused. However, not to confuse the audience too much, 70% of my business, and most people don't know this, is manufacturing for other clients where we put the full focus on that client. So we manufacture for sports teams, leagues, stadiums, restaurants, hotels, energy companies, fashion brands, and then I have a full roster of celebrities that we manufacture for as well.
I love that. In the last 10 years, your face and your name has really become synonymous with upscale collaborations. Is that fair to say?
Well, thank you. I don't know if I should say that about myself. But
I'll say that about
no,
you.
but I mean, thank you. I mean,
Bird's eye view, that's literally what it looks like because that's literally what it is.
Thank you. Well, I mean, as a designer and also, somebody who's just passionate about like style in general, I mean, that's a huge compliment. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So tell me right now, Grungy Gentleman, what are you up to?
Well,
I know that's... Here's the other thing. And serious question. Do you have an identical twin?
no, but I do have a few siblings.
You do, but you have such a jam-packed schedule, and there's so much that you do that it's crazy to think that one person, and I'm not just trying to like juice you up. It's crazy to think that one person could handle as much as you do. Do you have a personal assistant? How do you work? How do you stay organized and on top of all your collaborations, all your travel, and everything?
Well, first of all, I'm big on organization just in general in life. I think that's important. But I'm just passionate in general. So obviously, we have a team that helps, but really, we work really hard, and this can come across as corny, but I'm very passionate about my job, and I also love my family, and my family gives me purpose. So working hard kind of comes easy because, I love what I do. And then I also, just like any father, would want to provide for my children. So,
amen.
Yeah.
So, Grungy Gentleman, what is going on right now? I specifically want you to talk about what's going on this upcoming weekend.
Oh, sure.
This is awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so this Saturday, we're working with the New York Giants. Shout out to Joe Ruback. Most people know him as license plate guy. Obviously they're a football team, but one of their biggest activations of the year through Joe's tutelage and his planning has become this softball game where the current team plays the legends of the team. And there's a lot of guys that show up. In fact, I believe there's 137 athletes participating.
Between legends and current?
Yeah, of course, listen, some of the legends are, of course, a little bit older. So they'll, show up, have a great time, sign autographs, take pictures, that kind of thing, and much more. I mean, I don't want to ruin it for them, but they have a lot going on, so there's a lot to do. And it's really really exciting. We designed the jerseys for both teams. Dexter Lawrence, obviously one of the best players in the Giants, is the captain of the current team, and Brandon Jacobs, Giants legend, is holding it down for the OGs. So yeah, there it is.
I love that. And how did this collaboration come to be?
Well, actually, I've known Joe, who is throwing the event, since he actually has coached me in baseball and multiple sports since I'm like 4 or 5.
The license plate guy was your coach back in the day?
Yes, actually, which I love. Where the game is, and this was coincidence because obviously I was excited to design the jerseys and kind of found out like where the event was afterwards. It's 10 minutes from our childhood house, and I've never had anything near there or anything like that. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to bring the kids and make a whole thing of it. I think my parents are going to come as well.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it should be a good time.
And is any of the gear that you're making for the players going to be available for purchase?
Well, I think they're going to be doing some special things with it. There might be a few on sale. They also might be doing some stuff with autographs of all the athletes and all different types of special things with the jerseys, sort of embellishments that they'll add on after that'll raise money for charity and stuff like that.
Literally took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I was about to say, is there any charity aspect? Because in my head, I'm like, you could have all these game-worn outfits signed. I don't know. Like Lawrence Taylor, the greatest linebacker to ever play the game. Maybe the greatest defensive player to ever play the game.
Yeah.
Like a Lawrence Taylor worn outfit designed by Jace, signed by Lawrence Taylor. That's got to be worth something.
Yeah, no, I mean, LT's the man. I mean, I agree. I mean, so like for instance, when I was looking at the list, I mean, geez, Eli Manning, Victor Cruz. It seemed like a lot of the guys are going to come through, and I'm excited to see them rock the jerseys because as a designer, nothing's cooler than seeing people wear your product, and hopefully they'll look good while doing it.
Amen.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Let's go back.
Let's
go back. Where did it all begin? And I'm not talking about where did Grungy Gentleman begin, because we'll get to that.
Sure.
Where did the creativity begin? What was it like in your house, like growing up, that like made you this creative man?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, just living in New York City, I feel like I have a competitive advantage. I was born in Manhattan, so you live in a melting pot of just cultures, people, and when you walk down the street, and it's not like people have not heard this before, but you really just see just so many people, and by law of averages, some people might even do something by mistake and look cool, and you catch it, and you're like, oh wow. So I definitely am a product of my environment. That's first and foremost, and I'm a proud New Yorker. But I think my style has evolved. Initially, John Schwartz was my mentor in business prior to starting into the fashion industry. I was working for a strategic hospitality group, which is now known as Tao, of course, Tao Hospitality, and they are the biggest nightlife company in the world. So congratulations to them. But yeah, during that era, we were doing administrative work. We were doing planning. It was crazy. John had me doing I would do Heidi Klum's Halloween party, and the next day would be 3 random people's birthday party, and then the next thing would be, hey, I'm running late, and I know this sounds crazy, but can you start Leo and Justin's table and make them feel comfortable? It was a lot, and I got exposed to a lot, and I feel I might have taken a lot more chances when I was younger. You might see that through photos. And as I got older, my taste matured, and I really, I have a saying that I live by: if you don't got fit, you don't got shit. So I start there. That's first. That's most important.
I love that.
There you go. And I really now look at clean staples that really fit me well and that could be interchangeable. And something that I also think doesn't really get mentioned that's important is I do a decent job, or try to dress my age, and I think that is important. When you're creating an image for yourself that you're giving to the world, whether it be through business, in your personal life. I think that's very important in how you present yourself. And if I were looking at somebody, I would probably respect somebody that looks a little bit their age and
Does
stuff.
that come through in your designs? Like, have you seen in the last, Grungy Gentleman, you started over a decade ago, right?
Yep.
Would you say that throughout the last decade, even with your collaborations, that they've gotten, I don't want to say older, but more mature?
Sure. We definitely have tried to grow up the Grungy Gentleman brand. However, I can design through any lens. So I have most fun, of course, when I'm just wheeling and dealing and shooting from the hip, and it's for my own stuff, of course, but I definitely am able to design through different lenses.
You see the smile on my face, because this is something that I can resonate with.
Okay.
People always ask me, what do your viewers want? What does everyone want to see in your content? I always just say, I don't care. I create stuff that I know is dope. And if I know that it's dope, then I know that people are going to love it. And if you create for everybody, you create for nobody. So if you're creating for yourself, then you're going to have everybody who's been following you and been fans of you, that's only going to amplify as you just love yourself and love your designs even more. And it's been apparent with what you do.
Oh, thank you. We're at an Eleventy store right now on Madison Avenue. And, they're a great example. Their product is absolutely sensational. I feel like I'm personally wearing it right now, and that's another example of dressing my age. Incredible staples that you'll have for your whole life. So being able to align ourselves with companies and brands that have such an incredible image has helped grow up the brand a little bit as well.
How did the collaboration with Eleventy begin?
Shout out to Eric Decker. I owe you on this one for sure. Eric had just walked my runway for Grungy Gentleman, a New York Fashion Week. It was in.
What year was this?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I would say
we're in 2024, so
yeah, no, it's about 11 years ago. I would say 12 years ago, 10 years, something around that. So it's a little while. So he just walked the show, and it was great. And we just developed a relationship. So I was also at the time the stylist in the NFL for men's apparel. They were looking for 4 campaign models. They obviously have the contacts for everyone's agent. But since I just worked with Eric, I suggested him. It makes sense to that, that they'd want to choose him, and they did. So I just was like a dot connector essentially, right? What happened was, the motto that year was that the product isn't just for game day. So they essentially wanted to show the public that, the NFL apparel, it's not just for like what you just wear on the couch, and you can wear it way more than just Sunday. And the way they were going to do that was show it in a more of a lifestyle perspective by mixing in lifestyle product. So we were able to mix in Grungy Gentleman and other brands, and Q11T in a second. So since I kind of like had a friendship with Eric, I'm like, yo, what do you want to wear? And he's like, I love this brand Eleventy. And, actually I was a lot more tapped in back then than I'm even now. So I was like, oh man, I actually don't have the contact at this brand, because I had kind of a lot of the contacts at the time. They were a newer brand. I'm like, can you please connect me? So he connected me with Jeff Schneiderman, who is the president of the company. And we've now known each other for a while. So this has been a relationship and a partnership that has matured over time. And thanks to Eric for the assist.
I love that. And I have so many questions. I'm just going to start with how does a relationship with like the NFL, or you've done stuff with the NBA, how does that happen?
Okay.
Is there like walk me through that?
Those are different partnerships. So like the NBA and MLS, we work on a licensing side, and I've done also sub-licensing, which is when you work with a current licensee and they're able to partner with you because they're a current licensee. So I've worked with, like, for instance, New Era, Mitchell and Ness. I know you have our hat on right now with them. And we've been able to work with a lot of different sports properties in different leagues, like Major League Baseball, the NBA, to name a few.
So what does a deal look like? Like, how do you structure something like that?
That
you could talk about.
Yes, exactly. Listen, to be completely transparent, we're a younger brand, so our deals might look a little bit differently than maybe a major brand. However, generally we stay a little bit lean, pay them their royalty. Obviously, there's a vig up front. But what I like to do is know that there's real, genuine interest. So we have some built-in sales from day one prior, so that investment makes sense. From the NFL perspective, where I was a stylist, that was completely different, because that is, more I'd be working for them type of thing, as a subcontractor, but yeah, that was more of a yearly contract that went on for 4.5 years, and it was very humbling. Actually, it was like they reached out if I'd be open to the opportunity, but I had to apply, of course, right? And when I sensed that maybe there might be a possibility of this, to me it was my everything. I played high school football. Mixing and blending in my passions is something that it's my favorite thing to do, and I still do to this day. Mixing in sports with style, music, entertainment. And what I consider entertainment is I guess Hollywood, actors and actresses.
And it shows.
Yeah, thank you. Artists, I love art. All different cars, and I love vintage watches, cigars, vintage cars. I actually see some vintage, really cool cars right in front of us in the Eleventy campaign. So yeah, I like blending passions is incredible.
So talking about passions, when did you know you wanted to be a designer? So you were working at Tao Group. Were
Yep.
you interested in being a designer before that? Was
Well,
there something that happened that like a light bulb went off?
okay, there's definitely a bit of a story here, and
Let's hear it.
I did not start off necessarily a designer. I entered the industry as an editor and a blogger. So um, I started a website because I felt like there was a glaring need for
It's all coming back to me.
yes, a glaring
I
need for like kind of like knowing like what happens behind the scenes. Nobody was covering style and sports. In fact, I actually applied at GQ to be a sports editor, and there was no need for me because they didn't even cover it. And now, as you can see, so much of their publication, and
Oh
they do
yeah.
a great job with it. But when I first started, there was just no presence anywhere. So. In fact, when I was in Florence, Milan, and Paris as an editor covering Fashion Week, I know this is going to sound insane. I was actually helping the athletes get into the show. They actually wanted like people like editors and bloggers and people like that more. They didn't understand the power and the influence that the men and
Which
female
is
athletes have.
crazy because I guess also that long ago, while they are influencers to an extent, being who they are as athletes, maybe they weren't looked at as the brands as like influential for the brands.
Well, I also think the NBA dress code and things like that, and the tunnel. Shout out to my friend Kellyanne. She was the stylist for Dwayne Wade, who really championed that whole era that we see now currently, and it's become their runway. Every single sport, when you walk into the back of the arena, has become their platform now.
Dwayne and Gabriella have great stylists.
Yes, well, there you go. Yes, but to rewind back though to how we started, so I started a website because there was a need I felt for like masculine style. There was not necessarily as much coverage in the sports, music, and entertainment space with it, which is what I was interested in. So I also, because I really was passionate about, like that kind of stuff, took some editor positions. I was an editor at the Robb Report.
How did that first conversation go?
It was me singing for my supper. That's for sure.
But is this like a phone call? Is this an email?
Oh, it was an
Are
interview
you knocking on
process.
a door and getting in there like,
I
you
applied.
need this?
No, I definitely applied. Like any normal person would, and went through several rounds of interviews. And so yeah, I was an editor there. I was also an editor at ESPN.com, and then I was covering more from a style perspective. And then I also contributed to GQ, Esquire, Xenia.com, and Milk Studios. So really dove into it, which really helped. And something that still helps me to this day is being able to know all facets of the industry. And really, when I was an editor and when I had my own website, which was really more of an online publication that was formatted in a blog, but it didn't look like a blog, and it was all original content. Let me just put it this way. I want to take a step back because I love when we were talking about like what makes you passionate and what you do. Like I just felt like there was a need for this. Like I was like, how the heck is nobody knows like what Rob Gronkowski? Even though it's funny, they're still relevant today. But like 18 years ago, 17 years ago, when I was thinking about this, I was like, what is Brady? Well, he's the one who I'll just be straight up with you. He's the one who gets the girls, has the cars, has the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on there? You know what I'm saying? So I felt the need to started covering that, which I mentioned a few times. And we started gaining traction. And it was a way of covering it that has never been done before. Now, I know there's a saying, and I'm very fortunate for this, that you can't grow a following overnight. Well, I did. What happened was, and I was very blessed for this and still am to this day, when Twitter first started, like if somebody mentioned someone, everyone followed them. Clearly that's not what happens today. So Rachel Zoe had a show, it was Rachel Zoe Project, and she wrote on Twitter that this is MAH-JOR in capitals and a whole thing about it. And Brad Goreski wrote how this is his new favorite website, and Joe Z who is the creative director and editor-in-chief or one of the two, excuse me, at Elle at the time. He wrote that I was a must-read. So actually, this all happened within
That's huge.
Yeah, it happened all within 36 hours. I actually think Joe found out from Rachel's tweet. That's even how he discovered me. And then, I guess we were off to the races there. Now, as far as maturing the company and stuff, we started gaining traction. I would do things like interview athletes. So for instance, because I was working with Xenia, Eli Manning has a relationship with them. So after the Super Bowl and they won, I interviewed him about sort of his style. It was just, straight up, very softball questions, that was more showing the audience more of personal interest and that kind of thing. So we did that. And because of that, young emerging designers wanted to collaborate with us. And we did. And luckily for us, it's funny, and I laugh at them now because they were bupkis. It was 25 units, 50 units. Good times, man. We were so happy.
It's part of the growth.
Yeah, we were so happy.
It's part of the growth, and it's you helping them helping you.
For sure.
With the content.
For sure, yeah. So we were just happy to have our name on any product. I thought it was so cool. We were working with incredible emerging designers too, so the product was decent. But yeah, it was very green times. But yeah, we were covered in Hypebeast and Highsnobiety and Complex and GQ and Esquire, and so the collabs started gaining traction. So naturally that led to capsule collections. We did that a lot with emerging designers, and then Nas approached me.
Oh wow, I got to hear about this.
So obviously, everyone knows who he is. He's a legend, and
especially a New York legend,
and in my opinion, the best MC of all time.
100%.
So I started.
I will die on that mountain. Nas is the best MC of all time.
Love that. Yeah, no, he's the man, and great style too. So so he approached me to start a clothing line with him.
Nas approaches you to start a clothing line.
And I know that sounds very funny. And actually, which is kind of interesting, is that I think, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn because I have a lot of respect for him, it almost seemed like he looked at us for validity in the fashion space. So he wouldn't be maybe another music artist just slapping his name on a clothing label to capitalize off the success of his commercial success.
That sounds like it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so for instance, when we're talking about designing through different lenses, if you look at that product, it was incredibly elevated, but also I designed it through the lens that he sort of wanted, and we were 50-50 partners in it, and it was incredible. And the whole vision was that I would help launch the brand, and then within a year, he'd be able to take it, and he still has it to this day. It's called History, HSTRY, and although I'm no longer involved, something I'm extremely proud of still to this day.
Who is your biggest sounding board while this is all going on? During your growth, when you're literally climbing the ladder, you're jumping ladders, you're literally grinding your teeth to build your personal brand. Mm-hmm. Who's your sounding board, and who are you working with on this?
Yes. Well, I had incredible mentors. So as I mentioned, John Schwartz was mentoring me from a business side. And then from a fashion perspective, I would say Jim Moore, who was the creative director of GQ for over 40 years. He actually designed not the Grungy Gentleman text logo, but the GG interlock was his idea. He thought I needed to stamp something on, because we do athletic stuff sometimes, whether it be the corner of his shorts or the back of a neck, or just something that could be almost like the polo or a Lacoste symbol, something that people could identify us for. So he's taught me so much. This is probably the least, but he's so
the least. That's huge.
No. I'm talking about the example I was about to give you. He's taught me so much. Even when I was at press appointments, he'd be like, "Jace, you should have the lighting behind the." He would tell me how to properly light my product for sales appointments. I mean, he was really hands on, and I cannot thank him enough. I am very thankful for him. He's been incredible. And then Scott Schumann from The Sartorialist. He went to Indiana University. We've developed a friendship. He has almost mentored me from afar we speak a lot, but without even knowing it, his eye, really how careful he is with presenting what he presents. That's the best way I would describe it. And I feel that he is somebody that I model stuff after. He's incredible. So I would say that those are my mentors. So when I worked with Nas, just because I wanted to finish the story, because I know it's the longest story ever, and I apologize.
As a big Nas fan for the last 30 years,
Yeah.
this story could take another 2 hours and I'll be happy.
Yeah, there you go. So, so I was at a New York Fashion Week event, and not to show my age, but it was a Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. Now the CFDA controls Fashion Week, but because of Nas, not because of me, this was my first experience in anything ever going truly viral. We swept every publication I could think of. It was incredible. Women's even. It was insane. And it's because of the power of him. You know what I mean? And the clothes looked pretty decent, so that combo worked out. And so I was at this event, and it was quite some time ago, and these executives who I know were like, "Hey, Jace, how are you?" And I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Hey, we saw your stuff with Nas," and I was very young in the industry at the time, so I was like, "Really?" And obviously I should have maybe known that, but I was green. This is a new experience to me.
100%,
so
but that's how you learn.
And I was also excited that they said that, so I gave a real reaction. So I was like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "They're like, it looks incredible. You should be so proud of it." I was like, "Thank you so much." They're like, "Do you have any of your own designs?" And what I did next was maybe more commonplace now, but it wasn't commonplace back then. I was like, and just to keep it, a buck with you, I was like, "Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, I do." I took out my cell phone looking like a moron, I'm sure. It was not like how the phones are today. And I just had designs on my thing, and here I am just handing an executive that I should barely even be talking to my phone, handing them the designs. And they're scrolling through, and they look and they go,
"This is amazing."
Yeah, so they scroll and they go, "We're looking for a young designer to open New York Fashion Week this season. How would you like to do that?" And I said, "As a matter of fact, I'd like that." So from there, I got a web designer to transition our website.
My jaw's down. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, so we transitioned our website to more of a like a hybrid between an e-commerce platform with storytelling involved as well. And then obviously we transitioned to be a standalone brand, and we launched at New York Fashion Week. And I've been very thankful for all the support we've received since.
I love to see all the collaborations that you've done, especially with the Knicks.
Okay, we can talk about the Knicks.
Especially with the Knicks. And like I can only think of like 4 brands that I know that have done Knicks collabs, and I'm friendly with 3 out of the 4, which is awesome. But yours might have been the first.
Okay.
How did that come to be?
Well,
yeah, yours was the first of anyone I know.
Well, this is a true New York story. I'm a giant Knicks fan. I bleed blue and orange, so it's in my blood. And whether I was working with them or not, I'm watching every single game. Probably, I don't want other people to see me while I'm watching games. I get into it, and it's when my dad, the reason why I'm so into it, it's sports in general. My father loved sports, and I always looked up to him. So it's how we bonded and stuff, and still to this day. So, and also with my siblings. So, huge Knicks fans, and I don't remember exactly how we got in a meeting with them, but I remember I had an office on Broadway between Prince and House, and actually had a photo studio and a showroom. It was 2 units on the same floor, and they had come in to see our setup. So I took them to the showroom, and then I took them to the photo studio to see it, and then we went to our showroom for the meeting. And I didn't know what they wanted to do. I just wanted to do anything with them. I mean, and I know this sounds ridiculous. If they actually would have said, like, "Yo, can you maybe like clean up for us?" I'd be like, "Yeah, what do you need me to do?" Like anything. I was down, okay? And in the middle of the conversation and the meeting, I noticed they want me to design for them. I'm going like, I remember, and she's no longer with the company, and she really helped make my career, so thank you to Shirley Short. I remember in the meeting, it went so well, like 15 out of 10 meeting, that kind of thing. And I remember the door shutting, and I remember going, I can't believe this is happening, and there is no way I am letting myself mess this up. We are doing this, and I don't care if I have to spend every single second micromanaging of every response, of everything. I don't care what I need to do. If it consumes me every single second, I'm not letting this opportunity pass me. So yeah, we ended up doing multiple collaborations with the New York Knicks through apparel, accessories, and I'm a very teeny member and proud member of the Knicks fam. And yeah.
Did you do a runway show with that first line?
Yeah, so we've done multiple runway shows with the Knicks. Some of it was covered on MSG, which is obviously, as a Knicks fan, pretty mind blowing. We've had multiple athletes walk in it, attend, walk, both. So yeah, the involvement's been incredible. Yeah, and some of my closest friends, even still to this day, are current Knicks. Old players on the team, or excuse me, retired players on the team. Even Alan Hahn, Rebecca Harlow. I mean, staff, the trainer Steve Seidel is friends with my kids. Actually, the first kid my kid ever met was, he does like the equipment manager for the Knicks. But he does way more than that. That was the first kid I ever. Yeah, so it's truly been unbelievable to be embraced by like something you love that much, and blending those passions is like, yeah.
This is great. And your son is at a perfect age to not remember what things were like a few years ago. So he's fortunate enough to like know the Knicks as great for the last couple of years.
Yes.
How often are you taking him to games?
He's been going. He walked on the Garden. Well, he was born on September 16th, and he went to the Garden on Christmas, so it's an easy date to remember. So he was a little over a few months old, and I've been taking him ever since. It's probably going to sound like I did, but because I took him to games, but he was so young, he didn't understand. You know what I mean? It was more for me than him. And
yeah, well, that's why I say now he sees what's going on.
Yeah, so I was so excited to be, a father and bring, show him like things I love, but he didn't know initially. Now he's starting to know what's going on, which is unbelievable.
It's awesome.
And it's crazy. He actually, when my wife gets him dressed in the morning, it's hard to get him not to put something on that's the Knicks. He like only wants to wear Knicks clothes, which I love. He walks around the house screaming, "Let's go Knicks, let's go Jalen," which I think is the funniest thing in the world.
Oh, it's amazing.
And he reacts. I actually have this video. I got to send it to you. Probably my most, besides when he said Knicks the first time, I love that one too. But I thought OG Anunoby got a tip back off an offensive rebound, and it was actually Precious, and did it. And it was a big play in the game, and you watch, because my wife's holding like a selfie video towards both of us, and my son reacts to the play before I do. By like, it's only like a millisecond, a second, but I'm like, he knows what's going on. So yeah, it's amazing. It really is. So more in the future for sure of that.
So all the stories you've told, building up who and what Grungy Gentleman is, the last, let's call it 3-4 years, have been building up to something greater.
Okay.
Fair to say?
Yes.
What do you think is, I don't want to say the ultimate goal, because there is no ultimate goal. What is your goal? Because the ultimate goal is to just keep growing, keep getting bigger. However big you get, you're going to get bigger than that, which is crazy to think.
Oh, thank you. I don't know about that, but I appreciate it.
It is. It is. Dude, we're in our 30s. You're going to be doing this for a long time.
I plan on that, that's for sure.
A long time. Think about Jim Moore. How old was Jim Moore, your mentor, while mentoring you? 50s, 60s?
I mean, that's a very good point. It's a very good point. So I guess, it's tiered. One, and I'm going to be very upfront with you, there's, for me, the best thing I can get is like when I like make somebody look good, because what that might do is not like what most people think, oh, they're going to look good for a picture for Instagram. No, that's not what I'm thinking. Maybe they're able to get a significant other and they were having problems with that. Maybe they're getting a job. Maybe they're, I know this sounds insane, but like they never wore like a blazer or something like that before, and now they're getting like treated differently because people respect them more.
Which is real.
It's absolutely. So, there's always, I will always want to design for myself. There's that. And then I also want to spread my passion around. being able to work with, major fashion houses. Obviously, we're at Eleventy right now out of Milan, and working with Lanvin has been incredible as well. And they're obviously one of Paris' most prestigious fashion houses. So
Paris and Milan, are they relatively balanced when it comes to fashion, or does
they're definitely different. It's definitely different perspectives. Milan fashion can be a lot more sartorial, which means a lot more suited, a lot more proper. Like Eleventy, I mean, that's how I dress most of the time. And then Paris is really about, clean, sleek silhouettes. They do take a little bit more chances. It could be a little bit more fun. Both are incredible. I mean, it's basically like asking somebody, which one of your children you like better. There's different,
And while some people say I love them both, there's usually one you like better.
Well, one of my children's 2 months old, so I haven't crossed that bridge yet.
But if you could choose, I'm not going to make you choose. I'm going to say if you could choose Milan or Paris in terms of who you could work for, who would you choose?
I would choose to eat food in Milan and hang out in Paris because I love both places.
I love it.
Actually, I like hanging out in Milan too. Actually, Florence is one of my favorite places in the world, which I know it's not Milan, but it's just a quick hour away. But no, I really love both. Both of them have had giant influences on my career, and listen, there's something about a Parisian tux. There's something incredible about, I mean, just look at the store around us. Everything from their outerwear to you can't go wrong either way.
What does the potential future look like with Eleventy?
Well, with Eleventy, we do have another event planned. What I can say is that it will be during New York Fashion Week, which I'm sure will make some people pretty happy.
And when you say another event, so you had the LA event, which was awesome. You had the Miami event, which was during F1, right?
Correct.
Which was beautiful.
And I think you were at the New York one initially.
And I was at the New York one, which was here, which was awesome.
Yeah, also actually, I helped with one more Miami one, except I didn't attend. I had a pretty good excuse because I had my child. So yeah, we've done 4 events together. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. So we've done 4 events together, and our next one, without giving out the exact date, will be during New York Fashion Week. It's the same week also as the U.S. Open and the MTV Music Awards. So strategically, kind of plan that, and then there's more in the works as well.
Is there any world where you come in and help with design for Eleventy?
Well, I would love that, but I think they're doing perfect as is, so I don't know if they need help there.
Oh, of course, but I mean, instinctively, just Louis comes to mind. And like when they bring in like creatives, it amplifies the brand to an extent for whatever period of time that contract is. And while it keeps the image of the brand, it gives it a different, unique flavor on top of what they already have.
I mean, that would be a decision they would have to make, although I would love that. But I mean, they're doing perfect as is. So, I mean, I would love to help in any way possible.
I love it. Who's your biggest inspiration?
Wow. From a business, well, my parents, that's first and foremost, and my wife.
Biggest inspiration for personal growth. Like, as fathers, obviously we wake up every day and we work hard, and you said it however long ago on the pod, and I feel it every day. We work hard for our kids to grow for them.
Yep.
For the last 10, 15 years, who's been your biggest
like
inspiration?
Who have I looked at and stuff? I mean, I would, from a business perspective, I mean, it's hard not to tip your hat to Michael Rubin, what he's accomplished with Fanatics. It is absolutely unreal. It is a lot more than just what meets the eye as well. So congrats to them. They've become a conglomerate, and they deserve to. So he's absolutely an inspiration. I don't know if I can keep up with him, but I watch his moves for sure. And then not necessarily as much recently, but in like the past, I went to Indiana University, and so did Mark Cuban. So just naturally, you know what I mean? because of that connection, I always kept an eye on. I literally started HDNet on campus and stuff like that, and we had it for actually he gave it to us for free. Thanks, Mark. All of us did. So we used to watch like he actually had fights on back in the day, which no one did, and he always used to have like these exotic locations and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool stuff. But yeah, always watched his moves. Obviously, being a sports fan, seeing somebody transition from business to a sports owner was extremely appealing to me. And then, of course, he's gone on to have a lot more success after that with his TV show and a lot more than that. But yeah, so.
And looking at inspiration now and inspiration in the future, Lanvin, is that how it's pronounced?
Well, I can do the pronunciation if you like on camera, which actually is making me a little nervous doing it. But it's like lawn, and it's said like lawn. But it's said with like an accent, so kind of a long, yeah, and then like not like van, like Vaughn.
Lanvin.
But yes, with an accent, so Lanvin.
Lanvin. Lanvin.
Hopefully, I did that okay. I'm getting better at it.
The style of Lanvin is much more eclectic than Eleventy. I feel like they're literally opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, people have different moods.
100%. And what I love is that you are able to adapt, and you're able to pretty much associate perfectly with one brand and the other. Where did that come from?
Well,
we'll call it a chameleon-esque trait, which is fantastic.
Well, thank you. I think just like, being a New Yorker, there's so much to do, right? A lot of us live in small places, especially if you're in the city I'm talking about, and you want to be outside. You don't want to be cramped up in your apartment or whatever, right? So because of that, there's a lot of different interests that I have, and because of that, there's different things that look, that are more appropriate for different occasions. And, one compliment, and I like, just because I love it so much, that the marketing director of Lanvin gave me was that our audience can, live and have fun on Madison Avenue and then cross over to downtown too. And that's very difficult because either you generally have more of a downtown crowd or more of an uptown crowd. Being able to live in both was a huge compliment, and I appreciate that very much.
Amen. And like hearing you say that, and just remembering being at the event that you had there last week, it spoke to exactly what you just said.
Yes, thank you very much. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Yeah. I had a great time. I ran into people I didn't know that were going to be there.
Any highlights? What was your highlights?
Highlights were actually the people that I met, because you rub elbows with and have become friends with an eclectic crowd.
Okay.
As in your time in New York. So meeting new people at your events makes me happy.
Oh, I love that.
I enjoyed chatting for a while with Brad? No. Who's has the vintage store? Who's wearing a fishnet shirt?
Oh, Brett David. Yes,
Brett
for
David.
Sure. Sorry. I apologize, Brett.
Brett David.
He sells some pretty cool vintage
stuff,
for sure.
Like fun guy. It was great chatting with him. Now I follow him on IG. He's got exactly that. He's got great style. He's got a great eye. I enjoyed that. And the first event that we did here, I met Ravi. And being able to meet Ravi here was awesome, because then I had him on the podcast. I'm like, dude, after hearing his story, I'm like, stop. I don't want to hear. We're going to do this on the mics, and we're going to record it. And that was great.
Great. Yeah, our wives grew up together. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
And just networking with great people. That's what I love about your events.
Oh, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, because, to be honest, the Eleventy it's pricey.
Okay.
How pricey is Lanvin?
They're both very high price point. But what I always say is like it's better to invest in product that you really have forever. This way you don't have to really worry. You could slowly build your wardrobe and have something. Well, I always like to buy timeless, and Eleventy only makes timeless. So that takes care of a lot of the problem there.
We're both you're wearing Eleventy from head to toe. I'm wearing Eleventy and Prada and Kooples. So that's actually a great testament to exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, listen, their craftsmanship's incredible. If you actually look comparatively to, competitive brands, they're actually underneath, because they just deliver an unbelievable product and incredible quality at a pretty, reasonable price. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely high fashion, both of them.
What do the next 6 months look like? Not for Grungy Gentleman. What do the
Mhm.
next 6 months look like for Jace?
Oh wow.
Because Grungy Gentleman is who you are, but
Mhm.
you are elevating bigger than what you've built.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, I have a lot of existing orders because I am a manufacturer, so I definitely will fulfill those. Listen, not to sound corny again, but I just want to be with my kids, my family. Family first. That's the values I live by. My children are unbelievable. They're the cutest kids ever. They're so well behaved and so good, and they're adorable. And then I have a beautiful wife that supports me. So I can't ask for much more. I personally like being outdoors. So if I could sneak a little golf in there, I wouldn't mind that as well. I'm going to definitely root on the Knicks for the rest of this playoff run, and I got some actually. Obviously, as you know, we have the Giants thing this Saturday, and then next week we have a release with the MLS again with 4 teams. So that should be exciting. I know you said don't do business, and here I am right back into business.
Yeah. Wait, but the MLS release, what does that consist of?
That's apparel, a wide range. I don't want to give away too much because there is some stuff, or excuse me, there is some apparel in this collection that is different from stuff we've made, and it's heat.
Are you doing jerseys?
No, I wish that would be cool, but no,
That would be
no,
really
no,
cool.
no. So basically, my license allows pretty much everything but jerseys for apparel. But we're very proud to partner with Sporting Kansas City, Minnesota United, Colorado Rapids, and New England Revolution. And look out for a lot more to come as well.
What's the most unique thing about now being able to have this MLS partnership?
Wow, am I lucky is the first thing. I mean, talk about right place, right time. I mean, God, this thing is taking off like a rocket ship, and it seems like it's only going in that direction. I almost don't want to give it's unbelievable what's happening right now. Yeah, the growth is limitless. What could happen? I mean, actually, my wife, she has 2 sisters, and their kids are a little older than us, and they love it. They love soccer, love MLS. It's taken over.
This going like that.
I mean, listen, obviously, I actually at our Beverly Hills event, we had 3 LAFC players. In our Miami event, we had 4 Inter Miami CF players, and it is for 2 things. It's incredible working with them because most of them fit into off-the-rack products, so it's a lot easier for me. Second, it's just the influence is out of control at this point. It's just growing and growing and growing and growing. Like we were, it was at Bell Harbor Shops,
yeah,
and these guys were standing together or whatever. And these kids ran up like I've never seen it. They were like, it was funny. They first asked them for an autograph, and then they were like, I go to the games, I go to this, and then they're like, Leo Messi. It was cool, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of energy with MLS right now, and with the World Cup, knocking our door here domestically. I think it's only going to grow, and I'm excited that the finals will be at East Rutherford.
I hope we look back at this interview when the World Cup comes, and we're looking at what you're doing with the World Cup, just throwing that energy out there, and we'll be like, it started with these 4 teams, and now look.
Yeah, so we actually, which is a giant blessing. We worked with 10 teams initially. This is just a drop with 4 teams, just like right now. But there were 10 different teams in this. But yeah, I mean, to partner, so Sporting Kansas City, their fan base is rabid, right? Minnesota, I mean, all the ones I did, New England, Colorado. But what I really love about them is like Minnesota. Just because their fan base actually is growing so much female too, they're positioning it as unisex. We offer extra small to triple XL anyway, and like women look great in our product. It's just known as a men's brand, but they're actually kind of like feeding out the assets with like women in it and men in it, so it's gonna be pretty obvious, So I'm excited about that. Colorado, we did matching sets that go together, and I can't give up too much because we're doing something soon that would definitely give it away if I said it. And then New England Revolution. I mean, listen, as a New Yorker, Gillette Stadium has given me a lot of nightmares, so it's
Yeah.
nice to be in there on a positive note. That's for sure. I'm working with such a storied franchise. I mean, first of all, yeah, it's all this is a dream come true.
When you're concocting all these deals, or more so, we could even go back to 10 years ago, 15 years ago when it started. Was there ever a point when you were like, what am I doing? Maybe I should pack it up and just turn it.
Of
Like
course.
one deal dies, another deal dies. You
Oh
have three in
man.
a row, and you're just like, maybe I should just go back to
Yeah,
work,
yeah,
see if
yeah.
Tal will take me as
Oh no, sure. Well, I
in
mean,
hospitality.
not necessarily nightlife, but I absolutely have felt the heat. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
I mean, I would walk to appointments. I basically, because we weren't funded, I would reinvest every dollar we make. And when you own a company, whether you're paying for pizza, tissues, it's on you. So I would basically put myself last, not pay myself, and then additionally, whatever it took. Generally, it was business over food, which was tough.
You can put that on a shirt.
So, and then and that was just because that's what I had in my pocket, And as far as I would have to strategically figure out how to get to meetings because money would be needed elsewhere for our company and our brand. So I would, let's say I was coming from Wall Street and I was going to a meeting by like the Garden. I know it sounds insane, but I don't make excuses. You just man up and do it. So what I did was I just walked and I would hop in, stores like every 20, 30 blocks to just grab some AC. So this way I didn't show up like a sweaty mess. And then what I learned later is actually, it's pretty funny, more beeline to the destination you're going. Get there earlier, and then just chill more frequently in the air conditioning so you don't look like messy.
And you're showing up early.
There you go. So yeah, no, just definitely had to do whatever it takes. Definitely had some unexpected things happen. But that's business and that's life. It's how you weather the storm that, will be the test of, if you're still here today.
God bless. And what are you reading right now?
Well, fortunately and unfortunately for me, they're all like baby books. So we read actually different ones all the time to my kids.
Do you have any like the biographies? Like the kids' biographies, like for any of the sports figures or like...
We don't do biographies, but we have we show them like this is like New York, and then there's definitely themed books and stuff like that, and lots of them. But no, maybe I need to start showing them.
Yeah, like
heroes.
I have like Jordan, Kobe, Steph,
that's sweet.
Messi, Ronaldo,
Oh, that's cool.
Sarah Blakely, Elon, Steve Jobs, and it's like kids' books about
sweet.
these like legends, these goats.
Sweet, yeah. That's what I've been doing.
Is there any book or what's one book that you would recommend to anybody?
Ooh. That's because I actually care about that question. I don't know if you notice, I collect books, so I have quite an extensive collection. It's something I pride myself on.
But have you read them?
Yes, actually, most of them. Actually, I'm actually right now currently reading a Ralph Lauren book about just how he decorates all of his homes across the world, which is incredible. But I think actually from and geez, it's going to seem like I'm plugging people who are my mentors.
All good. Okay. So one book that you.
Well, I'm going to give you two, unfortunately.
Awesome.
So I'm going to give you one, which is Scott Schumann's menswear book. It is the most informative, able to cross over if you're a novice in fashion or you really know what you're doing. It is incredible. It's got a lot of information. You are not going to be upset you picked it up. It's pretty darn good value. And then Hunks and Heroes, which is Jim Moore's book, was really just encapsulation of all of his work over his storied GQ career, which has really become, the sort of timeline of just menswear in general. And a giant impact in my life. So being able to relive style moments and seeing how things transition through the years. I mean, personally, how I got into style was reading Gentleman's Quarterly. That is the Bible, or for menswear. So seeing all of his work in one spot is like incredible too. So those are two. But I really have a lot of books I like.
I love that.
Yep.
Now, before I let you go,
Sure.
give me one word of advice for anyone trying to make it.
Work. Yeah, I mean, listen, I am definitely not the most talented. I'm definitely not the most skilled, but I absolutely will outwork you. And I will wipe the floors with you too, as far as work ethic. So I think, that mentality is something you need. Pretty much almost every industry is, oversaturated at this point. And in order to stand out, you need to outwork the person next to you. There's no rocket science to it, so that's the deal.
Jace Lipstein, Grungy Gentleman, he lives the saying, do what you love.
Oh, thank you so much. And listen, I'm very fortunate because, being able to continue our partnership, with Eleventy and Lanvin is amazing. And being able to do it with a friend is even better. So
Amen.
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for coming on the show.
You're the man.
I appreciate you setting this up.
You're the best.